Hi there, welcome to my video on the strategic move to a small town. I'm going to examine simplifying your life and some of the things that I find important if you're considering moving to a more rural area in Canada. So some of the things like nature, proximity to the outdoors, the financial aspects, the pros and cons of such a move, social phenomena such as like the slow pace of life and how that will impact your life, and some other things like dating. So if you're interested in some ideas about moving to a small rural area, stick around for my video as I walk through this park here and give my point of view. Okay, got some fresh snow today, so trails are kind of nice. I'm going to talk about here why I'm doing this video. Well, the reason I'm doing this video is I'm here in Atlantic Canada, and basically these videos are my way of processing what I see around me, sort of making sense of the world. And basically I assume that other people have similar ideas. I know in 2021 alone, something like 60,000 people moved to Nova Scotia from other more expensive provinces. So people are thinking along the same lines. So I thought I'd share some of the things that I found as I've relocated here to Nova Scotia. All right. This park, by the way, used to be an estate, the McClellan estate, a very important British family at one time, a few hundred years ago. And they kind of turned it into a farm slash estate. There's lots of orchards. There would have been animals here. Okay, start off with a very important topic, and that is some financial aspects. Right off the bat, in a place like this, you can see that there is a group of people who are doing very well. They've got their shit together and life is going smoothly. You can see that with many contractors. We have an aging population here and they're not able to do a lot of work. So people who are doing a lot of construction work are very, very busy. There's another large group of people who are, you can tell they're struggling. They're on the hamster wheel. It's very expensive in Canada to live. I did another video called something like the No BS cost of living in Canada. I talked about inflation and how things have really gotten out of hand in the last 4 years with expenses, which brings me to the reason why I'm here in the first place. I relocated. I joined the wave of people who sort of intermigrated within Canada in the last 3 years because of the cost of living. I basically, this was a strategic financial move. I was able to sell in a more expensive province, relocate to a lesser expensive province, and then realize the gains made in that sale and more or less unlocked potential for early retirement. So it's a way of saying F you to the world, really. We all can see examples in the medium and larger cities where people are working 2 jobs to pay a rent, and this is a way of saying thank you, but no thank you to that work grind. And one of the main reasons why a person might move to a place like this is because of the real estate. The real estate is still affordable in a place like this. The average house price in this town here is statistically $320,000. Realistically, I've seen places in the $200,000 range. But if you were to buy a place in the $350,000, you could get quite a nice place. Compare that to back where I came from. Average house price was $750,000. However, because of the competition and the fact that people aren't really selling, high interest rates and things like that, it's more like $950,000 to buy a house that you might like to move into. So basically out of reach for most people, right? All right. Coming up on a nice look-off point here. And I'm going to talk about economic stagnation and its effects on places like this. So one of the things that's important to know is that these areas in rural Canada have been facing significant economic challenges for decades now. All the money has been going to the cities for decades. So there's been closure of a lot of industries, and that has led to high unemployment, economic stagnation, out migration of young people, seeking employment elsewhere. So that means that these areas struggle to diversify, right? And because of that, the economics is not always good. There's can be limited access to services in places like this. And this has been going on since about the 1970s. Okay, coming up on another nice look off point here. Next is some social aspects. Okay, the first thing and the biggest thing is people are very, very friendly, very welcoming. My interactions and anyone's interactions with strangers would be very positive. Constantly having random conversations in grocery stores and places like that about the weather, about just completely nonsensical things, but always very positive. In a small town, you will feel a community feeling that you don't get in a city. So those are some pretty big things, and people are very helpful. Um, Also, in terms of the political stuff that's been going on in Canada, as the further you get away from cities, the less BS, the less wokeism you will get. The culture war still exists, but it's people tend to be more grounded in a place like this, so it's a little bit more real and a little bit less problems. It's worth mentioning that people are just as addicted to their phones in a place like this as in a city. So, as with everywhere, people are becoming less friendly in that they're more stuck in their head. They're more, addicted to technology and therefore more spaced out, basically. That's not just here and that's not just in Canada. That's obviously globally. Okay, coming around to one of my favorite spots here. This is an old well. All right, there's many chickadees here. Well, they weren't coming to my hand, so put some feed. There we go. Okay, while we're on the topic of social issues, I want to talk about dating. So, basically, dating could be difficult in a place like this. You are going to have a smaller pool of people, a limited pool of people, and you would have all the same problems that you would have in a city, but just a smaller sampling of that. Um, the aging demographics in a place like this isn't going to help matters any. So my recommendation is to travel when and where you can, perhaps in the winter time, in the summer for a bit, go for as long as you can internationally, for as long as your personal situation allows. You could go, traveling. Um, let's move on. Next topic, the slow pace of life. There is a slow and deliberate pace of life in a small rural area, and that has a unique charm that goes along with it. So, it's very relaxing. There is almost no vehicle traffic. Parking is never an issue, it's always free. For example, this park is free parking. Almost every beach around here is free parking. Um, and that makes things very stress free. So, for example, myself, I basically go about my day doing my errands. Nobody's bothering me. I haven't seen a police car in over a week. I just park where and when I want, and so that kind of freedom is very golden. let's talk about the flip side to that coin. There's some negative things to do with a slow pace of life. Okay, so some of the cons. There is an aging population, so that means things can be quite boring. There is a lack of options. So for restaurants and dining, be lack of options. Services, public transit can be extremely limited. Travel and flights would be more complicated. Here in Canada, you want to get your ass to a major international airport. So from here, that would involve some driving and then catching a flight from a medium-sized city up to one of our major cities. So a little bit of complications there. It can be mentally challenging. If you're coming here from a larger city, you're coming from a faster, more exciting place, and it can feel like that FOMO feeling, fear of missing out, like life is happening somewhere else and you're missing out. Because let's face it, there's no world-class museums or things like that in a place like this. Entertainment and nightlife would be very limited, very hit or miss. It would definitely be Friday or Saturday night only, and that could easily be nothing happening on a weekend as well. So it's kind of like you need to make the party yourself. Lots of initiative is required. So you make the party if you want a party to happen. Okay. The last topic is possibly one of the most important topics here, and that is your proximity to nature. So in a more rural place, a smaller town, you have closer proximity to nature. So you can be very connected and quickly without much driving. So here where I'm at, I have easily I can be connected to water. There's water everywhere. So oceans, lakes, rivers, streams, ponds, everything good for fishing, boating. In the summertime, this is the place to be, a place like this. So you have all your water sports, marinas. The weather is obviously nicer, so there's some outdoor patios, things like that. So hiking, walking, cycling, all those things would be really great in the summertime. The weather is something to take into consideration. Of course, anywhere in Canada, you would need to take that into consideration, but just to be aware that the winters are long, cold, and brutal, but can be fun, but you just need to be mentally prepared for that. All right, just gonna wrap things up here. Basically, my conclusion is that living in a place like this can really help you to enjoy the simple things in life and can reduce your stress levels as well. Ultimately, I think life is about being able to continue to challenge yourself and, basically find ways for personal growth. So if you're able to do that in a place like this, then you're great. Also, awareness. If you're able to continue to maintain, awareness, because your outside world is a reflection of what's going on inside your head. So that's important. But otherwise, if you're thinking of simplifying and moving to a small town, I hope I was able to share a few things that I found important, and good luck with your own decisions. If you like this channel, please hit subscribe so I can make more videos. Thank you, and see you later.